I know I'm not alone when I say this. One of the hardest things to do in your life is breaking generational curses. It starts with you. If there are things going on in your family that you do not approve of, and there should be boundaries, and instead of loving one another, you're talking about them and backstabbing them and going against your family, then this message is really for you. I need you to understand that sometimes you have to step out and stand alone. Just by you taking that stand, other people will begin to stand up in your family as well. At some point, they will realize that this person is toxic. They do have a problem. They're going to call them out on their problem as well. And eventually, the madness will stop. That person is going to then turn around, take a look in the mirror, and see what all they've done to damage the family. Family's supposed to build each other up. Family's supposed to. So if you feel like you are the black sheep of your family, 9 times out of 10, you really are. Which means you have a purpose, and you have a greater purpose than they have. Your purpose is to recognize the bull crap that they've been putting everyone through all these years and generation after generation, because our souls really do return. We are reincarnated. Our souls really do return to continue the same cycle, but we have to be willing to break this cycle. And if you're not willing to break that. So if you really are the black sheep of your family, just know that you have a greater mission than what you think. You think that your mission is just to stay away from them. It might be to stay away from them so you can gain knowledge and wisdom so that you know how to deal with and navigate through this family problem that you have. Generational curses are a big and major thing. It divides your family. And those generational curses could be anything from talking about one another instead of helping one another. Those generational curses could be turning your back on them. Those generational curses could be saying ill things about the other person that are not true. I've seen this happen time and time again. And you know what? I'm sick of it. I'm a black sheep. I'm standing up. I'm no longer tolerating the crap that my family wants to put me through. When you are wrong and you are called out, understand this. You are not being called out because we want to single you out. We want you to change your nasty ways with the people that you're supposed to love and help protect. You're not supposed to turn your back on your family. I completely get that. A lot of people say that you're not supposed to do that. However, turning your back is one thing, but stepping away for a peace of mind and peace, period, is something that you may need to do in order to get that toxicity out of your life, out of your system. The breaking the generational curse truly starts with you. Separation is a good thing. It's not always a bad thing. And people think that it is, but it's not. Because if you can't be at peace, you can't understand how to get them to be at peace as well with themselves. It's very important that when you say, this is my boundary, that you stick with it. For those of you who do not believe generational curses are real, they are real. They are very much real. And I know this because growing up as a child, I've always felt different. I've recognized certain things and behaviors. I've recognized the way my aunts, uncles dealt with me, how they treated me. I recognized how my grandparents dealt with me. And everybody's situation was different. Everybody's situation was different. Nobody treated me the same way. Somebody treated me this way. Somebody treated me that way. One questioned me all the time. One always had negative things to say. And here's my thing. If you're trying to break a generational curse, if you are truly loving your family genuinely, you need to understand that it's not going to be easy to help these people come to realize that they are a part of the problem instead of a part of the freaking solution. Okay? You share a connection through your bloodline with everybody that's in your family, whether you know it or not. And that connection for everybody may be different. The connection with your mother may be different from the connection with your father, and so on. Okay, let me give you a little background on some connections. Certain connections that you have, you can even feel and sense that this person does not like you. This could be due to something in the past that has happened generations after generations. It could be simple as they just don't like your parents. So therefore, you're already on the outs because they don't like your parents. It may be because you're more beautiful than them or their children. It doesn't matter. It's a curse and it needs to be dealt with. Why can't you just be happy that I am a living being? I exist. I love you. You should love me. And that should be the end of the story. There's no backlash if you're doing it that way. But if you're taking whatever happened between you, if you are taking whatever happened between you and a previous ancestor, and you're putting that on a child, you got some serious issues you need to deal with. Yes, I'm talking to you, because 9 times out of 10, you're the problem, right? Okay, so check this out. I need you to understand that there will be some people that will never recognize their wrongs. They will never recognize that they are wrong. For you come to them with an uplifted spirit, and the minute you get there and they realize your spirit is overjoyed and you're happy, they find a way to bring you down, to make you feel low. And these are the type of people that don't even realize that they're doing it sometimes. Some do though, because they live off of your misery. If you are not miserable or something's not going on in your life, they're not happy. And the reason why they're not happy is because in their own lives, things are not going the way they want. Let's make matters a little bit worse. So now you are problematic to the family. And then on top of being problematic to the family, you are raising your kids to follow in your footsteps with questioning other people's children, with talking about family members, with making them feel belittled because you have a problem with facing your own issues. If you have issues within yourself, that's what you need to work on, and stop worrying about other people's problems, business, whatever they got going on. Because guess what? Until you handle you, you cannot help another soul properly. I'm not going to say you can't help them, because you may be able to help them financially. You may be able to give them a ride here or there. But until you heal yourself, until you deal with what you've been through, what you've went through, the things that you have seen, the things that you have done, the things that other people have done to you that didn't sit well with you, you're going to continue to be angry. And then on top of being angry, you're going to continue to lash out at other family members who you feel are doing better than you. Even if they're not doing better than you, maybe they just dress a little bit better than you. Maybe they got a little bit more than you. Maybe they have less than you, but you still have a problem with them because you have a generational issue with either their parent, ancestors, grandparents. Doesn't matter. It has to stop though, because if you continue this cycle, we will never heal to be one family. Everybody wants a loving family, but we can't have that until our family members are willing to heal from what they have had destroy them from the time they were children. Now, if you know you had things to destroy you as a child, why would you destroy another child? Why? It's easier. It is so much easier to rectify it as a child. It's so much easier to rectify it as a child. If you're raising a child, if you have contact with a child, if you're a part of that child's village, there is no way you should be lowering that child's emotional, mental health, physical, mental health, just because it happened to you. Understand what I'm saying? Let that eat your system up. I want you to swallow that for breakfast, because guess what? When you destroy another generation, because that's the next generation. This is the generation that's probably going to take care of you. When you destroy that generation from a child, you get broken adults, more broken adults, and more broken adults, which continues to make the cycle repeat itself. Who wants to continue to be in a cycle where you're continuously repeating yourself, repeating the same negative cycle? When you recognize from a child, you and all of your cousins and sisters and brothers recognize that there is a problem with the generation before you. And we make a pact, because I thought, cousins usually stick together, right? And you make a pact to stick together to avoid the same cycle. What changed that? Is it the fact that you became an adult? Is it the fact that you were raised by someone that was from the previous generation, and now whatever they had on them is transferring to you because you've been taught their ways? What is the problem? As a family, I thought the generational curse would have been broken. I really thought it would have been broken. But it can't be broken if the cycle continues. If you are falling in, understand that everybody plays a part in the next generation and the generations to follow. Everybody has a major role, but you take it lightly and you do little manipulative things, and it makes everything continue as a cycle that is not going to be a great one. And we're never going to have unity in our families if these cycles continue. The cycle of people molesting one another, the cycle of people stealing from one another, the cycle of people abusing their power, from being adults to looking down on children and talking to them crazy, saying things that you know would emotionally, physically, or mentally hurt a child. When you do things like this, the cycle continues. And you are, I'm sorry, but you are the part of the problem. And I'm not sorry at the same time, because it needs to be corrected. We are all here with a purpose. Is your purpose to destroy, or is your purpose to build? You decide. I'm deciding that I'm going to build. I have kids. So with having kids, I'm going to teach them that we don't talk about one another. We treat each other with respect. We don't say things that are going to physically, mentally, or emotionally abuse one another. For the simple fact that if I continue with the cycle that has been bestowed on me, you know what happens then? The next generation does exactly the same. Lo and behold, this is the generation that'll be responsible for carrying on our family legacy. I suggest that you tell them constantly that you love them if you have children and you're in a family where it's broken and you have separation of family members. And because that's the generation that is responsible for carrying on our generational legacy, the village is very important. They always tell you, I don't know if you've heard this saying before, but it takes a village to raise a child. But when that village is corrupt, I wouldn't suggest putting that child in the care of your village at all. When everybody sweeps everything up under the rug that happens, that needs to be addressed, I don't suggest letting that village be a part of raising your child. When you have people in your family constantly molesting others, doing things that you know would hurt other people in your family, I don't suggest letting that village help you raise your child. When they show fake love, I don't suggest letting that village help you raise your child. Your child needs to be raised off of genuine love and respect. So if you do have children, create the type of village for your grands and great-grands and those after that you would love to see. Teach them to stick together. Teach them to love one another. Teach them to have each other's back. That's very important. Teach them to genuinely care. Teach them to make sure that when someone is lacking, they're there to help them. Teach them to ask if they're okay. Remember, nobody's perfect. I'm not asking anybody to be perfect, but in order for a generational curse to be broken, it starts with you.